And welcome back to another debriefing. This one has potentially serious national and global security implications. But before we dive in, please take the moment to subscribe, like, and share our content. And if you really want to support our channel, we do accept donations via Stripe and PayPal, links of which are in the description. Just several days ago, Samsung's Exynos chipsets were reported to have been found to have multiple vulnerabilities that could be exploited to compromise unpatched devices remotely at the baseband level with no user interaction. Exploitable at the baseband level? Samsung's processor website says, quote, "The core that redefines your device, delivering high performance for a new age of technology. From next-gen mobile devices and automobiles to AI, Samsung's advanced processors are powering the future of technology," unquote. Early last August, Samsung had to inform its users that it had discovered a cybersecurity incident that, quote, "affected some of their users' information," unquote. Samsung assured its customers that the issue did not impact their social security numbers or credit and debit card numbers, but that in some cases the security breach may have compromised other personally identifiable information, we call it PII, such as name, contact, and demographic information, date of birth, and product registration information. But back to the Exynos chipset, and do you have it? And should you be worried? Well, the US traditionally received phones powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon processors until very recently, when Europe, the Middle East, and African and Indian markets received devices powered by the Exynos chipsets. There are roughly 115 countries and 17 non-country territories in the EMEA, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. The discovery comes at a time when there have been industry rumors that Samsung has reallocated its focus on an entirely new Exynos processor for 2025 phones. It was a group of researchers from Google's Project Zero who were the ones who discovered the multiple vulnerabilities in the Samsung Exynos chipsets. Who is Google Project Zero? Well, they're white hats, actually. Project Zero was stood up in 2014 as a team of seasoned security veteran researchers at Google who study zero-day vulnerabilities in the hardware and software systems that are depended upon by users around the world. Google says the team's mission is to make the discovery and exploitation of security vulnerabilities more difficult and to significantly improve the safety and the security of the Internet for everyone. Consequently, they spend considerable time performing vulnerability testing on popular mobile operating systems, web browsers, and even open source libraries. Okay, but how long will it be for necessary software patch releases as the date of the publishing of this video report? Well, that all depends on device manufacturers and most certainly the supply chain. In other words, how many programming hours will it take to have a coded and thoroughly tested security patch? And will the overall fix also require the addition of any new physical, electronic, structural design changes ad nauseum? Samsung said in an announcement that affected users, quote, "can protect themselves from the baseband remote code execution vulnerabilities by turning off Wi-Fi calling and Voice-over-LTE, or VoLTE, in their device settings," unquote. Okay, so just what does that mean? For me, you rightly ask. Well, to be succinct, there doesn't seem to be a clear consensus other than turning off your Wi-Fi and Voice-over-LTE for the foreseeable future. As Google Project Zero director Tim Wells said, quote, "We believe that skilled attackers would be able to quickly create an operational exploit to compromise affected devices silently and remotely," unquote. So, until security updates are available, Willis said, users who wish to protect themselves from the baseband remote code execution vulnerabilities will simply have to turn off their Wi-Fi calling and Voice-over-LTE in their device settings, noting that if users turn off these settings, it will remove the exploitation risk of the vulnerabilities. However, Dr. Johannes Ulrich, Chief Technology Officer of the Internet Storm Center and Dean of the Faculty of the Graduate School at the SANS Technology Institute, said just a few days ago that, quote, "This is not only a very nasty bug, but it will also take forever to be patched across the fragmented Android ecosystem," unquote. Ulrich noted, though, that the chip is made by Samsung, but may be used in many phones that are not made by Samsung, adding that simply turning off Wi-Fi calling and Voice-over-LTE isn't a viable option for everyone. Very good point. How many of you, like me, use your home internet Wi-Fi for calling, uploading, downloading? Yeah, that's what I thought. The whole bloody lot of you. John Pescatore, Vice President at Gartner Incorporated for almost 14 years, a director of the SANS Institute in 2013, and who has worked in computer and network security since 1978 at the National Security Agency and the U.S. Secret Service, said, quote, "The easy workaround, turning off Wi-Fi calling and Voice-over-LTE, is needed because Samsung and other Android-based phone vendors have a mixed track record and timeliness of patch availability and a complex ecosystem to push the patches out to. Yeah, it's going to be a problem for, it seems, an indeterminable time." Moses Frost, a seasoned security professional with over 15 years in the IT industry, said, quote, "The Samsung chipset in question here is a very popular one on a very popular set of Android devices globally. This could have wide-ranging impacts in areas of the world, like during the escalating war in Europe. Unfortunately," he said, "this will require the device manufacturer to fix the problem, and the workarounds will be less than acceptable for some individuals. There are serious vulnerabilities that demand immediate attention for both the chipset and mobile device manufacturers. What is interesting is that several of the vulnerabilities have been known by over 90 days and are now being released before patches are available," said a man who should know. Curtis Dukes, former NSA Deputy Director, Director of the NSA Information Assurance Directorate, and a Deputy National Manager for National Security Systems, who, on behalf of the NSA Director, was charged with securing systems that handle classified information or are otherwise critical to military and intelligence activities. I've taken the advice of these experts and others I know, and so should you. Keep checking for updates, Samsung website, but there will be patches made available. And when you absolutely can, until then, keep your Wi-Fi calling and Voice-over-LTE turned off. Just another hitch in our collective get-alongs, folks. As always, my friends, thanks for watching, and be safe, well, and frosty out there. Until next time.